Have you ever wondered why it's so easy for them to get you to say yes? If you've been a chronic people pleaser like me, you may have found that it often doesn't take very much for people to influence or even control you. All they have to do is show a little bit of anger or a small disapproving look. That's all it takes. Our reaction today actually started way before we were even aware that we were creating this within us. Most likely, it will have happened with a caregiver at a very young age in how they said no to us. Now, everyone has the experience of having our needs or desires thwarted. We grow up, we're going to hear the word no. Hearing no or feeling frustrated itself is not the problem. The problem becomes when the person uses anger to get compliance and we don't see the necessary repair for the relationship. Let me explain a little bit what I mean. When a child hears no and they get upset, because of course we get upset when we don't get what we want, anger and being upset is a natural phenomenon that's part of our nervous system. Healthy anger is such a great tool. It's actually the foundation for us to be able to set proper boundaries with people so that they cannot abuse us. I worked in a women's shelter. Believe me on this. So when the parent says no, the child is upset, angry, or sad. That's not where the people pleaser part comes from. It's when the parent never takes the time to help the child modulate or understand these emotions. They don't help the child understand what's going on inside of them. Instead, they shame the child for their emotions, labeling those emotions as bad. And I watched someone in the park recently telling his little boy that it was time to go home. And this kid did not appreciate this information and had a complete meltdown. The dad got down to his level and started giving him the words in a very patient and kind way. Oh, you don't like that we have to leave. It's very upsetting, isn't it? This kid processed his emotions within a couple of minutes, and Daddy took him by the hand and promised they'd come back in a couple of days. This is called helping our children to regulate their emotions instead of us losing it ourselves. Now, I'm getting back to us as adults, I promise. Caregivers who are able to be that emotional resonator for children promote a mindset of safety. And when this little kid feels safe enough to get upset and has an adult to help them resolve it, they come out feeling pretty confident and capable. And they have learned empathy and compassion through their caregivers. But the child who did not have that emotional support is heavily impacted as an adult. They may feel stuck or even struggle with imposter syndrome. This child who is shamed for expressing themselves or who is chronically dismissed or ignored will not feel safe. They will develop a fear of not belonging or a fear of abandonment, and they drag that into their adulthood, terrified of being abandoned if they're not meeting the other person's needs. Even if the cost of saying yes is much higher than that person's 2 minutes of disapproval, they will cave and say yes. I know this for a fact, done it a lot. It's not our fault when we do that. When we are stressed, we are in a state of survival, just like when that caregiver was angry and withholding their love. No one is born a people pleaser any more than we're born knowing how to play the piano. Someone helped us get there. So, what can you do to change that? If you're a people pleaser, it's time to reparent yourself. Reparenting ourselves is what people do when they develop a growth mindset. And they do things like hire a coach to support them on this journey. They study things like emotional intelligence, or they go to therapy. Some people do all of them at the same time because that's kind of my style. So becoming self-aware means becoming conscious of self and others. And this is when meaningful, healthy relationships start to happen because we learn to set healthy boundaries and the other people learn to respect our boundaries without using anger to punish us for having set that boundary in the first place. So when people start feeling more confident, we are able to finally discern whether someone deserves our energy or not. And that word no becomes a 2-letter word instead of this big, scary, emotional whirlwind. We can finally take control of our relationships in a way that feels empowering and revitalizing. and it feels great to be in control of ourselves. So those are the types of outcomes that I get with my clients who coach with me. I believe that everyone deserves to feel seen, heard, and respected. So if it's time to do something about it, about your people-pleasing ways, I got you. Let's talk.